Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boots in the Field. It's beginning to look a lot like spring. With last week's moisture and this week's temperatures, may give some areas a chance to start planting some beans. No-till and strip-till fields and fields that were worked and leveled last fall, they'll be ready to go first. They only need to be dry enough to carry the equipment weight without causing pinch rows, and dry enough in the top 2 inches to make a good seed bed. Fields that need to be leveled up so we can put on a pre-emerge herbicide, they'll take a little longer. If the field is getting true vertical pass, it needs to be dry enough to handle the tractor weight without putting in wheel track issues. If the field's going to be worked 4 to 5 inches deep with horizontal tillage, it needs to be considerably drier. This is the pass that gives me the most service calls to deal with. 90% of the compaction issues I deal with in July service calls come from this first pass made in the spring. Yes, the one you're about ready to do. When you make your first horizontal pass, we want to try to only put in a density change, not a compaction layer. The simple test is, to dig down about 1 inch to 2 inches below the tillage depth, and then try to ball that soil up in your hand, and then see if you can get it to ribbon between your thumb and your forefinger. If it'll ribbon, you're going to put in a compaction layer. If it's dry enough that you can't make a ribbon, you're only going to put in a density layer. Compaction layers will eliminate any effort you put in fall tillage. Roots and water will be stopped at that layer. Now, with that said, soybeans can handle tillage and compaction layers a lot better than corn. So pushing tillage conditions to get beans planted early may still be a success. Wow, can't believe I said that out loud. The problem is what we do with that layer before next year's crop. The compaction layer put in ahead of planting beans tends to be another one that creates service calls the following year. Finding a compaction layer in next year's cornfield is sometimes baffling to growers when they didn't even work the ground before planting the corn. But it's last year's compaction layer that keeps on giving. While the compaction layer may not have been a big issue in last year's beans, it'll bite you in the corn. If you put in a compaction layer this spring, it will need to be dealt with before next spring. One pass and plant with a soil finisher or vertical harrow or no-till will not take this layer out. Strip tilling with the knife will give corn roots a route to travel through that layer. The layer will still exist between the rows and cause some water flow and root interruption. Inline rippers will also create a route for the roots and the water to flow, but the layer will still be present. Inline rippers are not good at taking out surface layers, and it may take multiple years to get rid of that layer. Chiseling with a full width shatter on the chisel will eliminate the compaction layers, but you gotta be careful not to put it right back in the following spring. So while early planting beans may still give you a yield boost even though it comes at the cost of compaction, don't forget to add the cost of dealing with that layer to your high bean yields. The plan for next year was to go no-till or one pass and plant in corn or bean stubble. You now must add the cost of chiseling and leveling for planting to the cost of those early beans. If you ignore it, and many of you will, and plant on that compaction layer, you could give up 25 or 30 bushel in corn yields, and that needs to be charged against your early planted beans this year. Fields will be ready to plant days, and most times weeks, before they're ready for tillage 5 inches deep. Many growers unfortunately use the dust method to make the call on whether it's dry enough or not. If dust is flying, it's dry enough. Others use the neighbor method. If only one neighbor is running, he's nuts. But as soon as two neighbors are going, it's fit. Some of your neighbors may have spent more on drainage than you did, and their fields may be fit. Focus on your own fields and use that ribbon method. And do not just check the high ground, check the low ground as well. Make decisions on when is right to make that tillage pass based on your own soils. Fields that are already level, like our no-till or strip-till or sterile seedbed fields, the trick is making that planter dance. And I'll have Zach put up a link to Teaching Your Planter to Dance video that we have out there for review for you guys. Now, this will be your first chance to stick beans in the ground for the 2021 season. If you plan to plant a mixture of full and short season beans early, our plots would suggest planting your full season beans first, because it takes a longer night to trigger that flowering. Now remember, this will bunch up harvest a little, so you have to be prepared for that. Now we go the opposite order when we're planting in a normal time window. We plant our early beans first and finish with our full season. Now we assume if you're planting early, you are protecting yourself from SDS. Don't get cheap on the seed treatments. Some growers have been asking about corn planting. Well, the forecast suggests we could have a window from Sunday through Thursday to keep soil temps above 50 degrees in some areas to the south. That would allow you to get this corn swelled and not have to deal with seed chilling. After that, it's anyone's guess on what the forecast will be to get it out of the ground. But it might be a window to get your first day willies out of the way if you don't compact the field when you get it ready. This could be the biggest crop of your career and possibly the most profitable. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot right out of the gate. If you have a lot of pent-up COVID energy, take it out on the beans, not the corn. The only reason we mud corn in is for insurance reasons, not because the neighbor is planting. Crews are out soil testing and it's going well, so don't forget to get your orders in, especially your IS&T orders for the VRT nitrogen recommendations. We want those pulled in the spring, and that gives us time to build your VRT side dress maps for later on. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.